You have so many skills that you've learned, acquired over the years that I would say go for it. You
Mhm.
never will have all of the knowledge to make every decision. So there's no sense in thinking like, oh, I can't do something. You pick it up as you go. You can do even more than you ever think you can.
Welcome to the podcast where motherhood meets reinvention. I'm your host, Sharon Macey, and this is Mom to More. I'll be speaking with remarkable moms who have embraced the art of transformation, crafting their more by leveraging the skills they hone as stay-at-home moms. They'll share their experiences, struggles, and successes as they return to a former career, pursued a passion or hobby, or charted an entirely new path, giving you the clarity, motivation, and inspiration to help you answer the question, what do you want to do when your kids grow up? Welcome back to Mom to More. I have a fascinating guest today who has the world's dreamiest job. Let me tell you a little about her. Missy Tannen is the co-founder and chief product officer at Boll Branch, the luxury home goods company. Missy has totally raised the standard in bedding with her uncompromising attention to detail, quality, and perfection. Okay, that is so mom. Her drive has led to innovations in comfort and design, starting with the award-winning 100% organic cotton sheets that launched the brand 10 years ago. Before co-founding Boll Branch, Missy spent years running a third grade classroom, arguably more difficult, I would assume, which shaped her entrepreneurial spirit and her beautiful eye for detail. Missy and her husband, Scott, are the proud parents of 3 daughters, and no surprise here, Missy was also a stay-at-home mom. Missy, I'm so glad you're with me today.
Such a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. Well, we have so many fun things to talk about today. And I want to make just a funny note up front. When we first met, we realized we both went to Southern schools and we bonded over the whole like football thing, right?
Absolutely. Where you go with a date and
Right.
you would get dressed up in cocktail dresses. This is back, in the late 90s, early
Right.
2000s in the South. So
In the
a
South is
little
a whole
different.
different animal.
Yeah.
It's a whole different animal, but yeah. Okay. So I wanted to start with, I have what I call my essential mom question. And that is, we know you have three daughters, but where are you raising them?
So we're raising them in New Jersey.
Okay.
Our offices are in Summit, and we live about 10 minutes away. Um, and yeah, I'm from Ohio originally. I never really knew I'd be a Jersey girl, but here I am raising
There,
3 Jersey girls, and it's
there you
great.
go. Nice. So was being a stay-at-home mom or home parent, which is really the more modernized version, which I love that it was really coined by another mom named Neha Rush. Was that something you intended to do? What did that look like for you?
I guess for us, we just kind of take everything as it comes and as
Mhm.
it goes. I went to college to study education at Vanderbilt and graduated with my education degree and became a third grade teacher in Bridgewater, New Jersey. And I really love that. But after 5 years, when I got pregnant with our first daughter, um, I think it was just at a time where, at first I wasn't really sure and I just kept
Mhm.
extending my leave. And then we felt that was the right thing for me to do at that time. And then sure enough, just a couple years later, we had twin daughters. So at that point, um, it was a really nice period of my life to be able to be with them. That I just stayed home till they were, in early elementary school.
Right. Which is, first of all, big job having twins. I was always afraid that I was going to have twins, and I had 3 single births, and I thought, oh my
It's,
God, what if I have twins?
yeah,
But what a blessing.
mother's best friends.
Yeah.
And I think, the idea for Boll and Branch came up, and I wasn't really, I would say, looking for a job at the time. I was
Right.
happy. I was volunteering my heart out, really involved in the community, really involved in the girls' schools and in the
You're
art,
doing all the
you know,
mom things.
all
Right.
the mom things,
Yeah.
and just really embracing it and loving it. But we had kind
So,
of a
Well,
Yeah.
wait, actually, I was going to say you took my next question, and that was I wanted to talk about the inception of Boll and Branch. But when we spoke the first time, there was a moment, right, when you and Scott were like, "We need to do this." Share that moment because I think it's hilarious.
Yeah. Like I said, we were just going about life and renovating our bedroom, moving from a queen bed to a king, which is such an exciting time in your life to
Right,
have that much more
big
space
bad, yeah.
after being married for like 15 years. And it really, we had renovated this bedroom, so many decisions. And then when we're choosing what bedding, that was my department. That was not Scott's
Right,
department to figure out our bedding. And it just, you know, at that point in my life, I was probably like 33, 34, and I just wanted quality bedding and really hard to figure out what was I getting for my money? How much should I spend? What did thread count mean? And all the different marketing messages seemed so confusing. And
right.
came home, from a couple of days of shopping for sheets, and Scott was like, "This shouldn't be that hard. Let me just Google that for you and find out what's the best sheets."
Hmm.
And he was like, "Actually, there's like no like real definition or real like guidance of what brand or what products are the best." And for me, I know I was also looking for something that would last, that would be soft, and you know, my definition of quality. And just sleeping on he literally woke up and was like, "Sheets. That's an area where no one knows what they're sleeping on.
That's
Yet
so
it's a
true.
product that everybody uses every single day, touches your skin. It's so close to you. It's something that
Hmm.
like, why don't people actually have any brands that they really truly love?" We were just, asking friends and family, and most people would just reference the department store or the big
Hmm.
box store, where they got their sheets from. It wasn't like other areas where what brand your water bottle is, or your yoga pants, or, your shoes. So that really led us to just dig a little deeper into
Hmm.
the bedding and the textiles industry.
But the fact that it started because you were going from a queen bed to a king bed, so you had to get all new sheets, I
Yes.
think is all at once. It's funny, but it's so human,
Yeah.
and it's a wonderful jumping off point. Like who would have thought,
We're
right?
just
You just
consumers, right? And
right.
and then that just and then who were we to even, decide like, "Oh, we're going to go figure this out?" Well, that's exactly what we did.
And I love that. Okay, so clearly, from your time as as a teacher and as a mom, and you did all the mom things. You're also a woman that I've read who is obsessed with details. Aren't we
Uh,
all? Right? Aren't we all? It's another very mom trait. So, what inspired the 100% organic, sustainably sourced hallmarks of your brand?
that's a great question, Sharon. You're right. I am absolutely detail obsessed. Uh, but I would say Scott and I are also super prideful. And if we were starting this business or
Hmm.
just even exploring, let's say we weren't even starting the business yet, we just wanted to learn about textiles. And oh, well, actually it is made out of an actual cotton plant, and going all the way
Yeah.
back. And I guess part of my interest in details is just like wanting to know anything about it. If we were going to put our name on this, or we were going to share this product with our friends, with our family, we truly wanted it to be the best. And so in doing our research and learning the difference between conventional cotton growing and organic cotton growing, it's night and day. I mean, they're two totally different methodologies. And while it could be the same seed, the mindset and the way that the soil is treated and the crops are rotated is totally different. And also, in other parts of the world where the farmers that we're working with in India, each family might have 2 acres of a farm. It's not like
Hmm.
in the US where we have these huge industrialized farms. People are hand planting the seeds, taking care of it,
Wow.
and then hand picking the cotton at the end. And there's no irrigation other than, it's rain fed. So I
And is
think
that something they can count on?
no,
Sustain.
it's,
Okay.
and growing organically is harder for sure, but um, it's beneficial to the farmers because then they're not carrying backpacks of pesticides
Okay.
around, dripping on them, spraying them. Again, it's not these huge machines that they would be using. It would just be like a sprayer on your, on with the backpack of chemicals. And
Interesting.
at the time we started, there was an farmer suicide epidemic that was happening in India, meaning that farmers were becoming in debt so much to having to buy seeds and then chemicals to companies like Monsanto, and really
Yeah.
getting in debt because they couldn't, pay back the loans. And so we just didn't want to be part of this cycle of poverty that was continuing to happen over and over. We realized that there was a better way to grow cotton. It was underutilized. There at the time we started working with one cooperative when we very first started, they had about 15,000 farmers who were growing organically, but only 30% of their cotton was actually sold as such. So we were just like, wow, there are people who believe in this, that it's changing villages and it's changing the lives of the farmers. Could we actually use this cotton and make our products out of it?
Hmm.
And so I think we became really inspired by that notion. But like you were just asking me before, you were like, well, how did you come up with organic cotton? At that time, we didn't know, it was all just a big research project.
Right.
And what I did was, when we found this farming cooperative, it was actually called, and it still is, we still work with them, called Chetna Organics in India.
Hmm.
Um, they they're farmers. So we said, oh, we'd like sheets. And they were like, well, we're farmers. So that's when we started building a supply chain. And okay, you're just not going to take this special cotton and then just go dye it anywhere, weave it anywhere. And then we got in touch with a finishing factory where they would cut and sew the fabric. And so from that time, we had that set of that fabric, but I had fabric from all over the world, from other mills, other purchase samples.
Hmm.
And what I would do to figure out what hand feel I wanted, what was the raw material, I would keep one pillowcase clean
Hmm.
and wash the other pillowcase in the set 20 times, because I really was curious about how would it feel over time for a customer. To
Right.
me, that was the most important thing, in addition to how it felt coming out of the package, of course, but I really wanted it to last. I wanted it to be the softest it could be. And luckily, I could have told you about different stories with 20 other supply chains, but
Right.
one rose to the top for both the hand feel, the softness, the durability, and that's what became our signature sheets, our signature fabric that still now 10 years later is our very best seller, and we've built our entire brand on it.
And you know what's interesting about that, Missy? I remember your early commercials when you were the one doing the voiceovers on radio, on like some of the local radio stations, in the Northeast. And also, I bought a couple of sets of sheets like 10 years ago, and they really do get softer in time because I've
Yeah.
had them all these years. And I've had friends stay in that guest room and they're like, your sheets are so soft. I'm like, well,
Oh,
they're Boll and Branch. I mean, so
that really was by design. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And you really achieved that, which is amazing. Hey, talk to me super quickly about thread quality over thread count, because
Uh,
everyone
this
always thought it was about thread count.
this was one of the biggest like myth busters that we came across. um you know and actually now looking back and learning more and researching more, in like the 1980s 90s, that's really when the bedding companies in the US started really advertising thread count.
Hmm.
And in America, oh, the bigger the better. So if we have 1,000 thread count, that's going to be better than 500 thread count versus 300. And it really isn't true. Um, what thread count means is it's just a unit of measure of how many vertical yarns there are, and then how many horizontal yarns there are within 1 square inch. So let's say you just
Oh,
have
okay.
150 yarns vertically, 150 yarns horizontally. That equals 300, and that's in 1 square inch. But if you think about it, if you're going to sleep at night, you're not thinking like, oh, I love this thread count of my sheets,
You're
and
right. You love the softness. Yeah.
know if you like a lighter or a heavier
Hmm.
fabric or breathable, like, and you might not even be able to verbalize it, but you just know if you're sleeping, like, what does any of that matter? Like, just how does it feel to you? Does it
Right.
feel great or does it feel scratchy or like there's sandpaper or, so while it is a unit of measure, so certainly, I know all the thread counts for all of our fabrics, and actually
Right.
we created every single fabric we make. Um, but that's just like one component of it. And it really does start with the quality of the yarn. So that's
Hmm.
why we always are talking about like thread quality over thread count. And so it really
Okay.
starts from the beginning. What is the quality of the cotton or
Okay.
whatever raw material? How is it then processed and cleaned and spun? And then there's so much that happens in the weaving process. And then there's many steps to actually finish it to make it the hand feel that you desire. Like you
Gotcha.
could not use any fabric that comes right off the loom. So there's so much that goes into making fabric.
Right.
And that's really, um, I know, we were talking about me being an elementary education teacher, but my other major at Vanderbilt for quite some time was a math science major. So
Ah.
that's where like I really love to know how does that staple length of the cotton, like how long is it? What kind of yarn can that make?
I'll just say to the listeners, you heard it here, folks, from the pro,
Yeah.
that it's all about thread quality and not about thread count. So, Missy, we are going to take a short break. And when we return, we're going to talk about mom skills because I know you have a lot. This episode is brought to you by Boll Branch, the luxury home goods brand behind the softest, dreamiest, 100% organic cotton bedding. I love their sheets, and yes, they really do get softer with every wash. And I want you to have the comfort of a great night's sleep because as moms, we all need it, deserve it, and Boll Branch makes it easy. Use code MOMTOMORE20 for 20% off your entire order with no minimum. Some exclusions apply. Sweet dreams start here. Okay, Missy, as a mom, you develop all of these mom skills and you fine tune them, from being a teacher to a mom and then being home with your girls and then starting and growing Boll and Branch. Let's talk about how they helped you in the growth of this fabulous company of yours now.
Yeah, that was, I think, where when I look now back on it, and being at home with our daughters and then jumping into a business, for me it was a really natural and gradual progression. Meaning, at first, we didn't even have a company, so it's just like
Right.
my husband and I dreaming of this, and even with our daughters, just talking over the dinner table, or they would be at school and we would go and you know I don't know, shop the mall or talk about sheets and, and fabrics and meet with different people and have lots of phone calls. Well, I think the moment that the website launched was really the moment that it became really real, because
Yeah.
our whole year of just like exploration and meeting with people and choosing our fabric and coming up with our name, that was pretty dreamy. And then when the
Mhm.
website launched and we were like, oh my goodness, our
This is
product
real. Yeah.
out there. This is
Yeah.
the fabric that I made. I was so nervous to just, what are people saying? I hope they like it. And knowing I had to put everything into it that I could possibly dream of. But then, you start growing a company and you can't do it all yourself. You
Right.
have to, rely on other people and grow your business, grow your team. And so I think for me, because it wasn't like I jumped from 0 to 180. It was like every 4 months at Boll and Branch, it felt like a new company. So there's so much from what I did when I was home that helped me, and it still is helping me. Um, just even volunteering and being on committees or leading a committee, working with people, um, managing time,
That's
and how
huge.
do you juggle, different priorities, and being there and being present with your kids, and you know now working full time. I think for me that time management was something that at the beginning it was really hard to juggle, but
Mhm.
as my kids have also matured and grown over the last 10 years too, they can also appreciate and realize like sometimes I do have to do something for Boll and Branch, and sometimes I have to do something for them that comes first. We've all been juggling life together, so that's been really helpful.
Right. No, that's a great answer. Thank you for that. So this sort of like segues into struggles, because as any new business owner, you go through ups and downs and like, what are we doing in the early days? And even now, like, what are some of the struggles that you find yourself dealing with?
Yeah, for us, one of the biggest struggles I would say early on was just the financial pressure of starting a business on your own. And we wound up needing to borrow money to be able to fund all of the inventory that we were buying. So in a business where you have, goods that you're selling, and especially the way that we're doing it with organic cotton, we were making commitments way ahead of, and we still do to today, way ahead of a normal process and
Mhm.
when you pay for the goods. So we were actually paying a third up front at the time of, making another order, so that the cotton farmers could get paid. And for us, that was fine for the first year, and that was like our we our savings. We sent to
Mhm.
India and got our first order. But what happened was in our second year is to build up enough inventory for the second half of the year.
Mhm.
We had to have lay out so much money at that point. And then also my husband decided, I should say I supported him, but he was a big fan of the Howard Stern show, so wanted to advertise there. And
Yes, that's where I
yeah,
heard you, was on the Howard Stern show. Yeah.
yes. And believe it or not, that was a $2 million investment.
Oh, that's huge. But
A
Howard, he's really
huge,
good.
we
That's
didn't,
huge.
have close to that. So we just borrowed money off of our home and took out small business loans to fund all of this.
Right.
So I would say that pressure there um, was really intense and
Yeah.
for a good period of time, because you don't know, is it going to work? Is it
Right.
not?
I mean, it sounds like you really bet the farm.
We did.
Yeah.
We did,
Yeah.
which now looking back is wild, like wild
Yeah.
that we did that. But we really believe so strongly in what we're doing that it was different than what's out there. We really felt like, our sheets are different and they're made different from the very beginning, and there's no other company out there like it. So we went for it.
Everyone goes through that, right? When you're starting something new. So thank you for being
Right.
upfront about that. Yeah.
And it was really, really scary, but that risk is actually in taking that leap, just knowing, and I think because we had a year and a half of sales at that point, we had confidence that we were
Right.
growing and we could do this. It wasn't just like it was like right out of the gates we spent that kind of money, to
Right.
be able to advertise, but that national awareness is really what helped us grow and um, have customers all over the country.
Right.
Not,
Well, and
yeah,
yeah, well, thank you, Howard Stern, for like getting really, it was a huge jumping off point for you.
yeah,
And yeah, and it also sounds like with your farmers in India and the cooperatives, you've really created a real family business on so many levels, not
yeah.
just you and Scott, but your partnerships over in India.
Yes, that's so true. The farmers, the weavers, the cut and sew partners that we work with. We were just over in India a month and a half ago and got to celebrate an anniversary of one of our mill partners with them. I mean, one of the most incredible moments. Here they've been weaving for 45 years. They're expert weavers,
Hmm.
but they had just been weaving, right? So imagine at that point of the supply chain, and then they would sell their fabric to other people. They believed in what we were doing, and they built 10 years ago a factory right at this, on the same campus,
Yeah.
just dedicated to Boll and Branch. And
Oh,
then
wonderful.
5 years later expanded it. So there's 600 workers that every night we're sleeping here in the US, they are working so hard to make our sheet sets at night. And then likewise, when I was there, I told them, I was like, thank you for what you're doing, because then when you're sleeping, we are working as hard as we can to share what you're doing with
Mhm.
everyone here in the US. And
That's an incredible
that's
story. Yeah.
one of, 25 partners that we're working with now,
Right.
but it's been a journey with every single one. We really, our sweet spot is working with those, small to middle size factory partners who they're all family run. In the case where I was just mentioning how they're, one of the best weavers in all of India.
Hmm.
His mom actually started the factory by herself and was just quite a trailblazer for women, and getting women to come work in the factories and make their own income. And,
That's so
you know,
important.
it's really special. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's impressive. And I love the family aspect of it as well, which makes sense coming from a mom. Talk to me about imposter syndrome, because as women, I mean, I have it. I think we all have it as we start a new venture. And what was that like for you? How long did it last? Do you still feel it? Um,
Totally. Because on one hand, I felt confident in myself that I could figure this out. I could learn whatever I needed to learn to make decisions and build this supply chain. I don't know. I guess Scott and I we felt like we could just do it. We could figure it out. And that's kind of what we did but at the same time, there's so much you don't know. There's
right.
so many questions and that you have, and you want to be honest and vulnerable and find out, because you want to be able to make the best decisions with the best information available to you. And so we're just very inquisitive. But I would say the flip side of that is here, we were up against a whole industry that had been operating in the same way. I remember even in the beginning, there were some people in the US who were really involved in organic cotton farming. And here we were outsiders. They've been
Mhm.
trying to use organic cotton and sell it for years in various forms of products, and felt like we were just like stealing their thunder a little bit. And that we were just being selfish, and, oh, you're coming in and doing this. And we weren't. It was genuine. Like, we wanted to do what's right for the farmers and our
Mhm.
products and our customers. And so I think there are always naysayers. And so a lot of time I would feel like, gosh, I didn't even know what Pantone was when we started. How can I be so obsessed with our colors? And I am, because I love painting and I love color. I just didn't know Pantone was a tool out there. So I
Learn
think,
something new every day. Yeah.
yes, I think it's taken all of these 10 years for me to kind of chip away at that imposter syndrome. And the moment when this fall, I felt like I wasn't an imposter anymore, I was asked to speak at FIT in New York. And, such an exceptional design school, product development that I didn't even know existed, when I was going to college, that this kind of place was out there. And when I got to speak, there were some professors, some students in the audience. And I really said to them with the questions they were asking, and, we could speak the same language.
Yeah.
I said to them, I was like, wow, I've really found my people now. Like, we all just understood what it takes to build a supply chain and be so detail oriented in your design decisions and your manufacturing decisions. So, um, I would say that was such an incredible day for me, that I really felt like I wasn't on the outside anymore, that
Right.
um, I had something I could share. And at the same time, I had amazing conversations, because I'm still curious. There's still, there's a whole world out there. I
Hmm.
still want to keep learning every single day, that I could ask the professors what they're, seeing, or what they think of a certain dye technique. So,
I love that. I love that. Well, you have a growth mentality, which is so cool. Okay. You had a really cool thing happen this year, and that was your sheets were used for costumes at the Met Gala.
that's right. This year's theme for the Met Gala was Sleeping Beauties.
There you go.
And our three daughters are now teenagers and Met Gala obsessed, and said to us last fall, Mom, Dad, the Met Gala theme, Sleeping Beauty, like, taking it very literally.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh, Boll Branch, we have to be part of this. And coincidentally, Prabal Gurung had been using our fabric, loved the drape, the sheen of it. And then we shared with him that we actually had a new fabric called our Summit Supima fabric
Mhm.
that came out in May. And that's where we took organic cotton from Texas, took it to our incredible weaving partners I was just mentioning in
Right.
India, and made this most incredible fabric with even more sheen, more drape, more luster. And he was like, that I have to have it. I have to use it for a dress. So it was an incredible experience getting to partner with him, be in his design studio and get to see how he thinks. And yeah, he was inspired by our fabric. Maria Sharapova
Oh, that's
was
right. She wore the dress.
she
Yeah.
wore the dress. She was stunning, absolutely stunning. And of course, he took our fabric and dyed it in an incredible bright yellow shade. Not one that's in our color palette, but one that was absolutely drop dead gorgeous for the
But
Met.
maybe it will be. You never know. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
exactly. After all these 10 years that like here are organic cotton, we really knew we were kind of, bucking the system, going
Yeah.
the organic route and having our fair trade factories, like just doing everything the right way. It was a hard road. And now after 10 years for our fabric to be red carpet worthy was
Truly.
a dream come true.
And that's incredible that it was your daughter's idea.
Yeah.
So go girls. That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Never know where an idea is going to come from, right?
100%. You also have a lot of women working at
Yes.
Boll Branch. I think you said like 80% are
Yeah.
women. That's
Yeah.
a lot of estrogen. Okay. I'm sure you have a lot of moms. Was that by design or did that just happen?
I think it's just happened, honestly. I think the design of it is just we're a very welcoming culture, very supportive. My husband, Scott, while he loves his sports and football, he has a sister, has three daughters,
Mhm.
like myself. He's just been around women his whole life.
Right.
So, um, it's just, and he is so supportive of me and what I'm doing and our girls. I just think it's just like that in our office.
Yeah.
And, um,
Well, it also makes sense. I mean, we know how incredibly competent moms are.
yes,
And I just love the fact that you have such a female forward company.
there are plenty of moms who their children are my children's age, that are teenagers in college. But then there's also so many who are just becoming moms or having their first child. And the way we love to make sure they're taken care of and eased back into the work, to their jobs, like
Mhm.
it's just a really supportive place. So I think that draws more people in and yeah, we're really proud of it.
Oh, what a great story. Okay, I've got two more sort of short answer questions. One piece of advice for a mom starting on her reinvention journey.
I would say to any mom out there, you have so many skills that you've learned, acquired over the years, whether it's being a mom, whether it was volunteering, it was a past job, just your childhood, that I would say go for it. You
Mhm.
never will have all of the knowledge to make every decision. So there's no sense in thinking like, oh, I can't do something because I don't have this skill or I don't have that. Like anybody's journey in life, I've realized you pick it up as you go. Don't feel like you need to hold yourself back because you can do even more than you ever think you can.
I love that. Thank you for that. Okay, so Missy, last question. Since this is the Mom to More podcast, Missy Tannen, what is your more?
Sharon, that is such an amazing question. I feel like every day I am still learning, I am still growing. I'm not sure even what's next for me or what else I'm going to do, but I love every day being challenged. I would say I can't wait for more Boll and Branch, more changes, more growth. And like I was saying, at our
Mhm.
company, every 6 months, it feels like a new company. Every year, it feels like there's new obstacles, new challenges. So for me, I just feel so lucky to be able to do what I do every day and can't wait to continue that.
I love that. And you've built it from the ground up, which is truly, truly extraordinary. Tell
Right.
me where can my listeners find you online? And folks, everything is going to be in the show notes.
So we are online at bollandbranch.com, BOLLANDBRANCH. So at bollandbranch.com, you can always shop. But then we also have retail stores that are, we're in 8 cities right now between Greenwich, Connecticut, Chicago, Atlanta, Boca Raton, Houston, Dallas, and Short Hills, New Jersey. But adding more stores next year. So look for us there or in a Bloomingdale's or Nordstrom as well.
Okay. And also you're on Instagram, right?
We are.
At Boll Branch, right?
Boll Branch.
All right. Well, all that will be included. Missy Tannen, you are so cool, and I love your story, and you're just absolutely lovely. And I'm so grateful to have been able to share this time with you today.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you for having me, and I love what you're doing. So this was wonderful to get to spend the time with you.
Before I sign off, a quick favor. Following the Mom to More pod means you'll never miss an episode, and it really helps the show to grow. And if you'd be willing to leave a 5-star rating and review and share an episode with another mom, I'd be super grateful and appreciate your support. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.